INFJs, broken people mistake your compassion for romantic interest. Here's why. Have you ever found yourself comforting someone, only to realize they've misread your compassion as romantic interest? As an INFJ, you likely pride yourself on your empathy and deep understanding of others' pain. But what happens when your kindness is misconstrued, leaving you feeling uncomfortable and misunderstood? INFJs are often described as the healers of the world, people who are deeply attuned to the emotions of others and possess an almost uncanny ability to empathize with pain. But what happens when that compassion is mistaken for something more? INFJs, you're not alone in this experience. Whether it's a friend, colleague, or romantic partner, many broken or emotionally wounded people have a tendency to see your kindness as an invitation for romantic connection. But why does this happen, and how can you protect yourself from such misunderstandings? As an INFJ, you're probably familiar with the confusion that arises when you offer your heartfelt compassion to someone, and they take it the wrong way. This isn't just about romantic interest, it's about a deeper, often subconscious misunderstanding of your intentions. People who are emotionally hurt or fragile may unintentionally project their desires or needs onto you, interpreting your genuine concern as something more. This leaves INFJs caught in an uncomfortable position, torn between wanting to help and needing to set boundaries. Today, we'll explore why this happens, how to navigate these situations, and most importantly, how to stay true to yourself while continuing to offer the compassion that makes you who you are. 1. INFJs are natural empaths. INFJs are often highly attuned to the emotions of others, almost to the point where they can sense how someone is feeling without them saying a word. This ability can feel like a gift, but it also opens INFJs up to the possibility of misinterpretation. When INFJs connect with someone on an emotional level, they do so out of a sincere desire to help, not to attract romantic interest. Think of a time when you comforted a friend or a colleague who was going through a tough time. You listened patiently, validated their feelings, and offered gentle advice, not because you wanted anything in return, but simply because you felt compelled to help. The depth of your compassion can be overwhelming to some, and to them, it may seem like you're offering something more. Recognize that your emotional intuition is both a strength and a vulnerability. Before offering compassion, pause and assess whether the other person is emotionally prepared to receive it in the way you intend. Setting boundaries around your energy can prevent your kindness from being misconstrued. 2. The INFJ's desire to heal. As healers, INFJs often feel an innate need to fix or help others who are struggling. This can stem from a deep sense of empathy, but it can also arise from a desire to feel purposeful in the lives of others. Imagine an INFJ helping a friend who has just gone through a painful breakup. The INFJ listens with care, offers advice, and might even offer a shoulder to cry on. The depth of their emotional support is genuine, but the person in pain might begin to misread these gestures as a signal of romantic interest. Set clear boundaries with others about your intentions. Make it known that your desire to help is purely out of compassion and not a romantic gesture. It's okay to be transparent about your feelings, especially if you sense the other person may be misunderstanding your kindness. 3. Emotional vulnerability creates confusion. People who are emotionally hurt or vulnerable often find it difficult to separate genuine care from romantic attraction. They may interpret someone's emotional availability as romantic interest, especially if they are craving attention, validation, or affection. A broken individual may have recently gone through a difficult breakup and is emotionally raw. They might not have the emotional intelligence to recognize the difference between empathy and romantic attraction. When an INFJ offers support, the person may misread this as a potential romantic connection. Recognize that emotional vulnerability is not always easy for others to manage. It's essential to establish boundaries early in a relationship, even a platonic one, to avoid potential misunderstandings. You can offer compassion without crossing the line into romantic territory by being clear about your intentions. 4. The INFJ's quiet intensity is misunderstood. INFJs are often seen as mysterious and intense. Their deep conversations and genuine concern for others can sometimes be perceived as signs of romantic interest because of how they immerse themselves in relationships. You might have had a deep, late-night conversation with a friend about their struggles, listening to their every word with intensity. The emotional depth you bring to conversations could be read as something more by someone who is seeking that level of connection. Be aware of how others perceive your actions. While it's natural to invest emotionally in people, consider setting clearer boundaries in these types of conversations. Remind yourself and others that you can have meaningful connections without them being romantic. 5. Emotional neediness often fuels romantic projections. People who are emotionally fragile may project their unmet needs onto others. If they are used to receiving emotional validation in romantic relationships, they might unconsciously look for that validation in friendships as well, especially from someone like an INFJ who is giving and emotionally available. A person who has been in toxic relationships where emotional needs were never met may start seeking that validation from you, even though you're offering friendship. Their past emotional wounds may blur their ability to distinguish between friendship and romantic involvement. Help these individuals understand that emotional needs are best addressed in healthy, appropriate ways. Gently redirect them if they misread your compassion, and encourage them to seek professional help or guidance to heal their emotional wounds. 6. The desire for connection and validation. Some people, particularly those who feel unimportant or invisible, might latch onto the first person who shows them kindness. For INFJs, who offer a deep, often unspoken connection, it's easy for these individuals to misinterpret your care as something more. A colleague at work might seem distant and disconnected but opens up to you one day after a compassionate gesture. They begin to feel a deeper connection to you than you intended, seeing your support as a sign of romantic interest. While it's natural for INFJs to seek genuine connection, remember that some people might latch onto you because they're craving validation. Be clear about your intentions, and give space for them to seek their own path to self-validation. 7. Communicating your intentions clearly. One of the most effective ways to avoid misunderstandings is clear communication. INFJs may struggle with this because their natural inclination is to feel things deeply, but being upfront about their boundaries and intentions is crucial. If you sense that someone is becoming emotionally dependent on you, it's important to express your feelings honestly. Saying something like, "I care deeply about you, but I see our relationship as purely platonic," can help reset their expectations. Make a habit of checking in with the other person about how they're feeling. This can help ensure that they are not projecting their romantic desires onto your genuine friendship or compassion. 8. Setting boundaries with compassion. INFJs often feel guilty when they need to set boundaries, fearing they may hurt others. However, setting boundaries is not only healthy for you, it's also crucial for the other person's emotional well-being. Imagine someone becoming emotionally attached to you because of the deep conversations you've shared. While you might want to offer continued support, it's essential to create boundaries that honor your emotional needs as well. Practice saying no, or "I can't be there for you" in that way, in a compassionate, kind manner. Setting boundaries is an act of self-care, and it ensures that your relationships remain healthy and balanced. 9. The fear of being seen as cold or uncaring. One of the most difficult challenges for INFJs when navigating these situations is the fear of being seen as cold or indifferent if they set clear boundaries. This is a deeply ingrained concern for INFJs, as their emotional depth and care for others are at the core of their identity. However, setting boundaries is not the same as being unkind or detached. It's a necessary act of self-preservation. Imagine a situation where you've been helping a friend through a difficult time, but you start to feel emotionally drained. You know that for your well-being, you need some space, but you're afraid that if you step back, they'll think you don't care. This fear often causes INFJs to overextend themselves, which can lead to emotional burnout. It's important to reframe your thinking around boundaries. Setting them doesn't mean you're cold, it means you respect your own emotional needs and want to be there for others in a sustainable way. You can say something like, "I care deeply about you and want to be supportive, but I need to take a step back so I can continue to offer my help without feeling overwhelmed." This way, you reassure the other person that your care hasn't diminished, it's just being expressed in a healthier, more balanced way. 10. The role of projection in misunderstandings. Often, emotionally wounded people project their unfulfilled desires and emotional needs onto INFJs, misinterpreting the deep connection they feel with the INFJ as romantic interest. This projection can be unconscious, but it still creates confusion and discomfort for the INFJ who is simply trying to be there as a friend. A person who has always had unreciprocated romantic feelings may feel an intense emotional connection to an INFJ. They may confuse this feeling with love, projecting it onto the INFJ. As a result, they may become confused or frustrated when the INFJ doesn't reciprocate their romantic feelings, despite having only offered emotional support and kindness. Understanding that projection plays a role in these situations can help you take the pressure off yourself. People often project their unmet emotional needs onto others, and this doesn't reflect your behavior or intentions. If you sense projection happening, gently clarify your position. For example, I know you're going through a lot right now, and I'm here for you, but my feelings for you are strictly platonic. This can help diffuse misunderstandings without damaging the relationship. 11. The importance of emotional self-awareness. INFJs are highly introspective and self-aware, but sometimes they may not fully understand the emotional impact they have on others. Because of the depth with which INFJs connect, they often unknowingly send mixed signals, especially to those who are sensitive to emotional energy. This can lead to unintentional romantic attraction from others, even though the INFJ has no romantic intentions. You might spend time with a friend who is feeling emotionally down and offer him a shoulder to cry on. As an INFJ, you might feel moved by their pain and provide them with a deep level of comfort. The friend, who may not be as emotionally in tune, misreads the situation and believes that you're becoming romantically involved. To manage this, develop a strong sense of emotional self-awareness about how your actions and words may be perceived by others. Check in with yourself regularly about your emotional state and the impact you're having on others. If you're offering empathy, make sure that your body language and words align with your intention. Be mindful of how you express care. Gentle words and compassionate gestures are key, but consider also verbalizing your boundaries if you sense things are starting to get blurry. 12. The difficulty of letting go when emotional attachments form. INFJs often develop deep emotional connections with those they help. This can make it especially hard to let go when these attachments become too heavy or complicated. The attachment may also deepen when someone starts to confuse friendship for romance, creating a difficult situation where the INFJ feels obligated to continue the emotional connection, even when it's no longer healthy for them. You may find yourself in a situation where a friend, whom you've been emotionally supportive of, begins to develop romantic feelings toward you. As the emotional attachment grows, you may feel a sense of duty to help them, even though it's no longer healthy for you. This can cause internal conflict, as INFJs struggle with the desire to help others while also needing to maintain their emotional integrity. It's okay to let go of unhealthy emotional attachments. Acknowledge that you cannot be everything to everyone, and sometimes stepping back is the kindest thing you can do for both yourself and the other person. You can do this by gently pulling back from the relationship and creating space for them to heal without your constant involvement. It's important to remember that sometimes, the best way to help someone is to let them heal on their own. 13. The struggle with guilt over boundaries. INFJs often experience guilt when they set boundaries, especially if the other person seems hurt or disappointed. This guilt can become overwhelming, making it harder for INFJs to maintain their emotional boundaries. However, recognizing that setting boundaries is a form of self-respect and that it's okay to prioritize your emotional well-being is key to finding balance. You've been there for a friend through thick and thin, but recently, their emotional needs have become overwhelming. When you decide to set a boundary and reduce your involvement, you feel guilty. You might worry about how your decision will affect the relationship, even though you know it's the healthiest choice. Recognize that guilt is a natural reaction, but it's also an indication that you are making decisions that protect your emotional energy. To cope with this guilt, remind yourself that you can still care deeply about someone without sacrificing your own mental health. Seek out support from others who understand your boundaries and can reinforce that your decision is not selfish, it's necessary for your own well-being. 14. Healing the wounds of misunderstanding and finding peace. INFJs who have repeatedly experienced their compassion being mistaken for romantic interest often feel hurt and frustrated. These misunderstandings can leave them questioning their own ability to connect with others in meaningful ways. Over time, however, healing can occur as INFJs learn to navigate these situations with confidence and clarity. The key to healing lies in accepting that misunderstandings are inevitable and that they don't diminish your worth or your capacity for connection. Over the years, you may have encountered several instances where your kindness was misread. Each time this happened, you felt disheartened and questioned whether it was worth offering your empathy at all. However, as you grow and learn more about yourself, you begin to accept that this is a part of being a compassionate person, and it's not a reflection of your value or your emotional depth. To heal from these misunderstandings, focus on nurturing your own emotional health and self-worth. Practice self-compassion and remind yourself that your kindness is not a liability, it's a gift. Reflect on the positive connections you have with people who truly understand you, and allow these relationships to fuel your sense of self. As you continue to set boundaries and communicate your intentions clearly, you will grow more confident in your ability to offer compassionate support without fear of misinterpretation. In closing, INFJs, your ability to connect with others on a deep emotional level is both a gift and a responsibility. You have the power to heal and offer support, but it's crucial to protect your own emotional health and set clear boundaries to prevent your compassion from being misread as romantic interest. Remember, offering kindness is not about seeking validation or reciprocation, it's about being true to your core values and staying connected to your authentic self. As you continue to offer support to those around you, embrace your role as a healer with clarity, confidence, and self-awareness. Know that you are worthy of love, respect, and emotional balance, and never let the misinterpretations of others diminish the beautiful, compassionate person that you are. INFJs, you are naturally compassionate, but your kindness is often misread by those who are emotionally fragile or vulnerable. Understanding why this happens is the first step in navigating these situations with grace. By being mindful of your boundaries, communicating your intentions clearly, and offering compassion from a place of strength, you can continue to be the healer you are meant to be without compromising your own emotional well-being. Remember, you have the right to protect your emotional energy while still offering kindness and support. Set healthy boundaries, and never feel guilty for doing so. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know how you navigate these situations in your own life. You're not alone in this journey. Let's continue this conversation and support each other. Stay safe, and see you in the next one.